Hey guys, this is Zach here, back with another video, and this time we're taking a look at Mutants the card game by Lucky Duck Games. So the version I have in front of me is a prototype version. It's a very kind of bare bones box, as you can see. This is on KickStarter. As when you see this video, it would be on Kickstarter right now. And it's a deck building game, but it's, I guess the best way to describe it would be a constructed deck building game. if that piqued your interest, it did mine too. So this is 2 to 4 players, roughly 45-60 minutes. Our games usually go a lot faster than that when I played, 12 plus. So let's look inside and see what's in the prototype version. So we got the rulebook, which again is a prototype one. This will probably change in the final version. Got a bunch of cards and some player boards. Again, these probably change in the final version. These are just paper for right now. 4 player boards. We got the score board here with the power tracker there. You get some wooden counters. I think there's one of each color, 4 different colors, a big one, a small one, and then a black one. And like I said, a bunch of cards. Alright, so I've got kind of a sample set up here to show you how it works. So everyone has a player board that's going to keep track of their deck, their mutants, their free zone, all that stuff. And then we have the arena board in the middle of the table. It's going to have a power track, and then the round tracker and your prestige. Yeah, prestige, which is your score at the end of the game, basically. And everyone has their own colored marker, so one player will have all the red ones, one player will have the blue ones, so on. And the game has 5 rounds, which is just tracked by this little guy here. After the 5th round, the game's over. Count up your points, whoever has the most wins. So before you start the game, you're going to make a starting deck of 12 cards, and it's 2 each of the 6 basic mutants in the game. So there's warriors, beasts, zombies, aliens, demons, and robots. You can see they have symbols in the top left. Everyone has the same 12 starting cards. Your opening hand is actually one of each of these, so you actually have a full access to all of them when you start the game. You shuffle the rest up, put it in your deck. And then if you're just starting to play, what you want to do is there's 4 different pre-constructed gene pools that you can pick from. So we have like the Vicious Cycle that will have 2 each of these 6 cards in there. And you can see these are the advanced mutants that cost 2 genes to make. In this game, you're actually going to be breeding mutants together to get these advanced mutants to use them to hurt your opponent, get more points, stuff like that. So there's Vicious Cycle, Breed to Beat Down, Mosh Pit, and Cold Hearted. Those are the 4 pre-constructed ones that you can just grab and play with. But the cool part is you can make your own. So these are just suggested pre-constructed gene pools to make. So if you want to, you can pick 2 from here, 2 from here, wherever you want to do, and make your own set of 6 mutants that you want to build your gene pool out of. And then let's just say, for instance, I'm going to use Vicious Cycle. So this is just a reminder card. I'd shuffle all these up. I'd deal them into 3 piles in front of my player board. Something like that. You got your deck there, and then you have your hand of all 6 mutants. So on your turn, you have you can do 1 action and then go back and forth between all of your opponents. Once all of you are out of cards, then the round ends. So some people might get their turn skipped and run out of cards for anyone else. So your turns are pretty simple. The first thing you do is if you have a mutant in your active slot, it goes to the left or right slot. And if you have both filled up and someone needs to move, it gets discarded. Then you have 1 of 3 actions. You can either play a mutant from your hand into your active slot and do what it says. Every mutant has a deploy ability and a leave ability. Most of them do. So all the mutants will do something when you play it, and then do something when it actually leaves the board. So that gets you 1 on the power track. That gets you draw a card, then discard a card. This will guard you against being knocked down. It's not actually a deploy ability, it's a guard. Talk about that in a second. +2 in the power track, discarding 2 mutants, get a mutant, stuff like that. So then the other thing you can do is breed for your mutant. That's where the main thing happens here. So if you want to breed, let's say I wanted to get this Buffler guy. Buffler? So he needs a beast and a zombie. So to breed to get him, I would have to discard a beast, and a zombie from my hand. So when you breed, it's always 2 cards, and since I'm getting this guy, I need those 2 to match, so I discard them to my discard zone. Then he comes straight to my active slot. He doesn't go on my discard like most deck building games. I get him immediately. And then this will flip over. And then I would do what he said, so I would get 2 in the power track. So if I was red, I'm going to move up 2. And that would be it for my turn. Really quick turns, 1 action, just go back and forth, so you're not bored waiting for your turn. The action's pretty quick. And the last thing you can do is incubate a mutant by discarding any card from your hand. So let's say I want this guy, but I don't have the mutants to make that right now. If I want to, I can just discard any card from my hand, doesn't matter what the symbol is, and I can put it face down in my incubator. And that means at the beginning of the next round, this will go on top of my deck, so I'll have that for next round. That's of course a very, very broad overview of how the game works, but just wanted to give you an overview. And your reference cards have little icon symbols on the back. It's all really self-explanatory and pretty easy to figure out. But basically, kind of the meat of the game is kind of dealing with this arena board here. So most cards are going to affect your power rating, like this guy here. So this moves me up 2 spaces. So at the end of the round, when everyone's played their cards, whoever is in the lead is going to get the big number of points here. So if I was here, I would get 5 points. Whoever is in last gets no points. So blue here would get nothing. If you have 3 or 4 players, the second place will get that little number down there, and third place will also get that little number down there. But this whole power track thing is fun because it's constantly changing. Like you can never really get, you never really totally know what's gonna happen. So like I can be up 2, and my opponent could play something that's worth 3, so he'd go 1, 2, 3. Now he's on top of me. So that means we have the same power, but he's technically, in the case of a tie, he's winning. So then, a fun thing is, if you get to the top up here, that's really good for you, and it's bad for everyone else. So if you're at the top and you gain power, so let's say he gained 2 more power. Instead of going up anymore, you actually just push everyone else back. And the red is bad. If I would get pushed all the way to one of the red zones back here, whenever you start your turn, if you're in the top spot and every other player is in the red zone, you have crushed the competition and the round immediately ends. So that's a cool mechanic. Like if you just do so well, you can just basically shut the game down early, get your points, and your opponent won't even have a chance to do anything. So after all 5 rounds, you're going to be gaining all these prestige points, and then there's another fun mechanic on how to win, in the freeze value. So most of these mutants have a freeze value in the top right, and each gene of mutants kind of has their own special like flavor. Like the warrior ones are all about attacking your opponent. They're one of the only ones that have the attack ability, so this is actually considered an attack, so it does something to everyone else. And if people have a guard, they can stop it. Robots do a lot of drawing and discarding. I think it's kind of their thing. The Mystic, these demon people, they can do transforming cards and stuff like that. But one of the main things here are the zombies, because of these freeze values. So if we look at our starting mutants here, Mr. Zombie, when he leaves, you can freeze this mutant. So freezing is a big thing. You can see on the right of the player boards there's a freeze zone. So as the game goes on, certain cards will allow you to freeze other cards. So when you freeze a card, you put it face down, and it's removed from the game, basically. And at the end of the game, after you've counted up all your prestige points, then you score all the mutants' freeze values in your freeze zone. So it's a really fun, like, hidden scoring system, but it's also unique because only, like, the zombie mutants can do it. So if you made your own gene pool deck, and you just didn't have a lot of zombie cards in there, then that's just basically a whole mechanic of the game you just won't get to utilize. So it's kind of like a mechanic of the game you have to plan ahead for. And that is basically the rundown of Mutants. So like I said earlier, it has 4 pre-constructed gene pools for up to 4 players if you want to play just with grab a deck and play. You can make your own, and it's really easy. You just pick 6 mutants, take 2 of each of those cards, and that's your gene pool. Or there's a whole drafting system you can do with these cards, a little M on the bottom, and you can do a whole drafting thing with them. So just in the box, that's 3 ways to play the game, basically, at least set up the game. And I love the system they have built here, and I cannot wait to see what more expansions and stuff they add to this later. Because just with the cards in here, there's all kinds of abilities and symbols all these cards can do, and I cannot wait to see what crazy stuff they can come up with this. Alright, so that's my quick little rundown overview of Mutants. If you guys are interested, there's the link in the description for the Kickstarter, and I am really excited to see how this game does. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you again, Lucky Duck Games, for sending me this to show off to you guys. If you guys have any questions or comments, of course, just leave them below and I'll answer them as soon as I can. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Have a nice day.